I think we're good. It says live in the top.
Yeah, there we go. All right. So the Founders Show for HitThePick.com. Sorry we're a few minutes late. Technical difficulties getting started. Scott Steen is celebrating his birthday, the Steamroller, at a Royals game, so he's not here. And David, no nickname, Murata. Oh, that's it. That's the nickname. David, no nickname, Murata.
There you go.
That's it.
State the obvious.
Instead of Black Ice, instead of Kung Fu Grip, David, no nickname, Murata. That's perfect. All right, so he is not allowed to not have that as his nickname anymore. Oh, there's the Steamroller. Woo, ladies and gentlemen, Scott Steen joining us. I've actually been nominated to host because we didn't think we were going to have you, Steen.
You're not really having me. I'm just traveling on the way to the game and wanted to check in and say hey to everybody. And
well, you're here.
See what you were talking about. So
we have come up with a nickname for David David Murata that will stick.
Okay.
It's David, no nickname, Murata.
All right. It kind of seemed like he was embracing Black Ice the other night. I thought you might have won him over, but
you never know. It was I was torn between Black Ice and Kung Fu Grip because he looks just like the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu Grip that I had when I was a kid.
All right, fair enough. I like no nickname Delano.
Yeah,
he's been killing it in baseball. Holy crap, man, he is going off.
Yeah, he's got some crazy record going on in baseball. Anyway, so we have the Steamroller here for a while. Who knows? He's on his way to the Royals game. Sniper with us. Rye Cape, Tom Macrina, a.k.a. is here. And I am going to do a little football futures handicapping later in the show. But let's start with baseball. Steen, are you going to have any action on the game you're going to tonight?
I've got the worst bet of all the game I'm going to see in person. I've got the under 8.5. Bubic is pitching. Bubic is pitching for the Royals. He's been fantastic all season, kind of out of nowhere. And this is the two lowest scoring teams in baseball. Royals are the lowest scoring team at home. Pittsburgh's the lowest scoring team on the road. So I'm probably going to see a 10-6 3-hour fiasco.
For what it's worth, I'm on the under too. I really like the under tonight. It's actually a premium play, but I like the under too.
Anytime you're getting the Royals at 8 or better, you just about have to play it.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of wind today. Shouldn't be a lot of home runs. It is warm, but if you get it up in the air, it'll carry a little bit, but it's not going to be wind aided. So it should be a low scoring game. They played last night in 2 hours and 15 minutes. I could use another one of those here this evening.
Yeah. If you combine these teams over under records on the year, it's between the Pirates and the Royals, they are 73 and 109 to the
unbelievable.
Under. So that's
you know what we should be talking about today. I should have had her on. Is my wife is the world's largest Tour de France fan.
Oh, yeah.
Every year she gets up at 5 a.m, watches it live for 3 straight weeks, and it is it's even more amazing because she does not know how to ride a bike. She ran across it one year, watched it, and absolutely fell in love with it. It is her favorite sport, and she is good at picking. But there's 2 guys that pretty much win every race, and this is one of the most unbelievable stats in sports I've ever heard in my life. Over the last, and I don't know how many years it was, 5 or 6 years, they've raced together against each other 8,000 miles. They are separated by a minute and a half.
That's crazy.
In case you're a Tour de France fan out there and you think I don't know what I'm talking about, look up Tadej Pogačar and Jonas Vingegaard. Those are the 2 guys. They rule the sport, and they are almost tied over 8,000 miles. So
I share with your wife. I'm a fan. I go all the way back to the Greg LeMond days,
right?
The Tour de France, because Greg LeMond is from my hometown.
Okay.
He was a big hometown hero, and I would actually see him because we had this thing called the American River Bike Trail through the area where I grew up, and we would actually see him every now and then because it was this miles and miles and miles of paved trail for bicycles, and it's just a fantastic amenity. There's like 75 miles of it, and it runs along the American River. And so I go all the way back to the Greg LeMond days. Of course, I was taken in like the rest of the world by Lance Armstrong.
Right.
Big fan of his until we found out he was just a giant fraud.
Well,
And
he's actually doing post-game analysis now. They've got Armstrong. They've rehabilitated his image enough where he's actually making some media appearances. And I happened to see him today after she was done watching. He got on there and immediately roasted Peacock for how bad the coverage is. So I don't know if we'll be seeing Lance next year on the post-game show.
All righty then. I don't know if he's one to be roasting anybody. Just saying.
Yeah. So the odds, I'm looking at the live odds, and who would have thought you would have been talking about Tour de France odds on the Hit the Pick show today?
There you go.
And I don't know how you pronounce these names. You did a pretty good job, Steve. But Pogacar and
Tadej Pogačar.
Pogačar, man, I was way off. Minus 600 currently, and then Vingegaard's plus 450. Now, if you want to do the equivalent to an exacta in horse racing, you can bet Pogacar and then Vingegaard first and second, minus 250 currently.
I think that's a good play. I don't know. I have not seen. I'm a day behind. I do not know today's results. I know it was a time trial. I don't know how much Pogačar is ahead, but Vingegaard won last year by about 2 minutes and 30 seconds or so. So if you wanted to box him, you could do that. But if you wanted to play Tadej on top, I think that'd be probably the play.
But then what you got to do is you got to find somebody who's like 10-1 or greater to finish third. That you add to it.
You hit the Tour de France trifecta. That's where the money's going to be when you find that guy to sneak in there for third place. So
well, third. So the next guy that's third, Remco Evenepoel, he's plus 2,000. So yeah, that's going to increase your odds there big time if you throw in a third rider.
Yeah. It'd be like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes playing in the Big 12. You just got to figure out who's going to be third, because those two guys, barring an accident, and they have had some wipeouts, but barring some kind of accident or unforeseen mechanical problem, those guys are going to be 1-2 in the next.
Well, then I think the strategy there is then you box those guys 1-2 in one bet. And you go 1-2 in another, and then you go, okay, 2 through 10, I'm going to box them up with, and then just put the same amount bet on each of them, and the odds should be high enough that if you get any of them, as long as some guy doesn't come from way back in the pack, you should cash those tickets.
And that doesn't really happen in professional bike racing on the world tour like that. What the level that these guys are. Especially towards the end of the race, there are very few surprises, and they're doing it weird this year. Instead of breaking it down where you have a flat stage, then a mountain stage, etc., they're doing all of the flat stages at the beginning. All the mountain stages will be in the middle to the end. So you've got a lot of guys up front right now that are sprinters. That's their specialty. That are not going to be anywhere near the front of the pack when this race is over because they can't handle the mountains.
Now, however, you have seen at least one crazy comeback in the history of the Tour de France, which is when Greg LeMond won on the final leg, which is basically a ceremonial ride through Paris.
Right.
And he strapped it up, and normally that's sort of a leisurely pace, and he strapped it up and caught up by riding hard in that phase, which was unheard of at the time, and that's when he won.
Yeah, they have a lot of like little rules like that, where kind of unspoken rules where you don't. It's a race. The last day, the standings are set. Nobody's really going to be moving except for the sprinters. You still get sprint points because within every race there's sprint points and mountain points. And you have special jerseys for King of the Mountains and the fastest sprinter, and there's extra monetary stuff involved. So You will have the sprinters out there. The leaders will be like rolling along, drinking champagne, and the sprinters, once they hit the Champs-Élysées, they're going to be cranking it up. So yeah, it can. But like I don't think it's changed hands since that race you're talking about, Lou.
Yeah. That was the last time.
Yeah.
Okay. We're putting Rye Cape, Tom and Karina to sleep. So let's get Tom in here.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sport that everybody else is going to understand. You have been handicapping, I know, WNBA, baseball. Where do you want to go?
Tom.
I'm going to get Tommy.
Go, Tommy. Sorry.
I got some baseball plays for tonight.
Let's go. Let's capture some tickets.
That's right. So we have the Mariners playing the Yankees. Both rookies pitchers. This guy Schlittler, that's his name, is making his debut tonight. Evans, he's been decent. He's had struggles on the road. So I actually like the first 5 to go over here. And then there is another game I liked. Hold on.
By the way, I'm really proud of his parents for not naming him Adolf Schlittler. I really proud of.
When I saw his name.
It must have been a temptation.
Oh, yeah.
But on the other side, I like it's last game of the night. I like the Athletics to get first 5. I think it's minus 110 right now. It's around to pick them. But Spence has been pitching well. Well, the Athletics are playing at home. Elder he's struggled. A whole bunch. Neither of these bullpens have been any good.
They do play in a little league park in Sacramento. So
yeah, right.
The should be jumping out of there. Oh my God, that park is ridiculous. I can't believe they're playing Major League Baseball games.
I got to tell you guys, I was trying to find out how many home runs have been hit in this park, and it is an almost impossible stat to find. You can find 1 through 28, but they don't list the Tampa Bay minor league park, and they don't list the A's park there.
Because everybody would bet on it.
Right. I mean, I'm talking about this is like an MLB list or
right.
Whatever accumulates the stats. It's very frustrating. I know they hit a ton. I'm on the over in that game, even though it's 10.5.
All right, Ryan, just go back and handicap those two in real quick again. What are the bets?
Athletics first 5. We're gonna go with the better pitcher, the better offense here, and then Yankees. We're gonna go with the over on the first 5. 2 rookie pitchers. I see both of these offenses going off.
All right. Sounds interesting. Anybody got any other baseball plays for tonight? Anything coming up? WNBA? Anything else?
Well, I was on the Royals under. That's going to be one of my plays tonight. Then my other action was this afternoon. I was on the Phillies. Tom's Phillies came through. And I was on the Rays as well. They're down a run now. So we'll see what happens there.
Why am I hearing an airplane?
I think Steen is still in the car. I think he's still in here with audio.
It's probably the highway stuff. Go ahead, Wes. Sorry.
That's all right. Well, as long as Scott is still here, I've got some NFL over/under handicapping that I'd like to do, and I'm going to start with the Kansas City Chiefs because the NFL is once again kissing the Chiefs' ass, which they have been doing for years now. If you look at how their schedule plays out, it's absurd how unbalanced it is. So, they have to play the Raiders twice and Denver twice, and they have to play the Chargers twice because those are the teams in their division. So they're going to have to play each of those teams on the road. So let's just throw that out, okay? Because I want to look at the road-home splits. Who they get to play at home and who they play on the road. So on the road, they take on the Giants. They suck. The Jaguars, they suck. The Cowboys, meh. The Titans, they're terrible. And they have one game, which they may not be favored in, on the road. And that's against the Bills.
Yep.
Now, let's look at who comes to Kansas City. The Eagles, the Ravens, the Lions, the Commanders, the Colts, the Texans, and of course we throw out the Broncos, Chargers, and Raiders. So they play on the road almost every game they have. They're playing a cupcake. Every hard team to play that they pulled, they get the advantage of playing them in Arrowhead. I think that's just.
I don't know if I get more excited every year for the Chiefs to be in the Super Bowl or for you to bitch about it. I know both of them give me great pleasure every single year. You know, it is what it is. Did the schedule makers favor the Chiefs? I don't know. They had the third hardest schedule in football last year. They play a first place schedule every single season since they won the AFC West. I think 14 years in a row. So they're always playing a first place schedule. It's going to happen. It's just the way it is, buddy.
Just saying. Okay, so tell me this, Tom. Do you think the Eagles have a better chance of beating the Chiefs in Philadelphia or in Kansas City?
Well, certainly Philadelphia.
And the Ravens winning in Baltimore or in Kansas City, Sniper?
Obviously Baltimore.
Right? Same with the Lions. Same with the Commanders. I'm just saying, it's weird. It's weird that they get to play every good team at home and every bad team on the road. It's just strange.
So I know you kind of just went over their schedule. So the AFC West is playing the AFC East, and they are playing the NFC South.
Correct.
Is that accurate? So,
yes.
I mean, the NFC South.
No, the other way around. NFC East, AFC South.
Right, yeah, there you go. NFC East, AFC.
You got it backwards.
Okay, so, they get the Saints, they get the Panthers, they get the Falcons, and they get the Buccaneers. It's, possibly 3 gimmies there, too, in the NFC South.
Anyway, another thing to point out.
No.
Sorry? Scott, go ahead.
It's NFC East. So NFC East. So Giants, Cowboys, Eagles.
Yeah, Giants, Cowboys, Eagles. Right, and Commanders.
And Dallas on Thanksgiving.
So again, their home opponents: Eagles, Ravens, Lions, Raiders, Commanders, Colts, Texans, Chargers, Broncos. Road: Chargers, Giants, Jaguars, Bills, Broncos, Cowboys, Titans, Raiders. Now, another thing to point out here. A lot of people in the gambling world are saying we should fade the over-under wins of the Washington Commanders because they won so many close games last year. And it's going to return to the mean. Interestingly, mostly last year, the Kansas City Chiefs won 1-score games. They only won 2 or 3 games by more than a touchdown. And they had several miracle comeback wins, like Denver missing a 5-yard field goal to lose a game. And nobody, though, in the betting world is saying Kansas City is going to lose several more games than they did last year because they're going to return to the mean. Yet everybody is saying that about the Washington Commanders, who not only returned everybody to the team, but added several good pieces on defense and Deebo Samuel on offense to go along with Terry McLaurin and a really good running game for Jaden Daniels, who I believe could very much be in the MVP race this year. Comments? Anyone?
What's the Chiefs number? 11.5?
11.5. I've got them going 14-3.
Yeah, I think that's I don't see how you play under on that. I just don't. I think the reason they're talking about the Commanders that way is because you've got a quarterback without a ton of experience under his belt versus the Kansas City Chiefs, who have a veteran presence on offense and defense.
Okay, who is the Commanders head coach? Everybody.
Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn. In his second year with the Falcons, what did Dan Quinn do? He took the Falcons.
He probably went to the Super Bowl and lost. He probably lost the 28-3 game in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he was. They were leading. They were leading the Patriots in that game, and it looked easy in the first half. And then they
still a very good season. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was still a very good season. I mean, yeah, he took Matt Ryan and the Falcons and to the Super Bowl. Yeah, they were up 28-3. Not too many other teams can say that versus the Patriots.
So, I coach in his second year took a team to the Super Bowl. This is his second year. I would argue that the Washington Commanders have a much better team than the Atlanta Falcons had. Jaden Daniels is every bit as good or better than Matt Ryan. I mean, at least from what I saw last year. And he's certainly more mobile. And they have great weapons, and they improved that defense. So I think the Commanders is going to be very dangerous. Okay, on the opposite, so we just pointed out that Kansas City got an absolute gift from the scheduling gods. On the opposite end, the New York Giants are completely screwed. They are just completely screwed. By the way, Kansas City over 11.5, one of my best bets, over under bets on the season.
I imagine it's pretty juicy. What is it, minus 140 or so?
Yeah, it's minus 140, 150, depending on where you get it. But yeah, I just don't see them going under 11.5. For God's sake, they went 15-2 last year and had almost nothing on offense at parts of the season.
Well, and that includes a giveaway game at the end.
Right. That's the one thing that I have them at 14 wins. They have the Raiders in the last game of the season. It's possible that they don't need to win that game, and if so, they would give away a game to the Raiders and end up with 13. But they would have to lose a whole other game to get to 12, and then lose one more to I don't see how they don't cover. All right, Let's look at the Giants' schedule, shall we? Tom, this should be of interest to you, being a Philadelphia Eagles fan, because they're in their division, but it's not like they're any threat. So the Giants are one of the lowest teams in terms of power rankings, in terms of chance to win the Super Bowl, in terms of how many games they're favored in. Tom, how many games do you think the Giants are favored in this season out of 17?
Out of 17, I'll go with 3.
Sniper.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Well, their over under is 5.5, so yeah, I'm gonna say 3 also.
Steen.
Maybe the Raiders at home. I'm gonna go with 2.
They are favored in 1 game.
Wow.
On the road at the New Orleans Saints, and they're minus 1.5.
Oh, geez.
So, of the teams that they might compete with, Saints, road game. Bears, road game. Patriots, road game. Raiders, road game. Broncos, road game. Vikings, road game.
Did you get a hanger? How do they know where you're going?
That is the teams that I would think they have some chance of competing with, because the teams that they play otherwise, Cowboys. I'm sorry, I got this backwards. Yeah, they get the Cowboys in Jerry World. Then they get the Chargers at the Giants, the Eagles at the Giants, the 49ers at the Giants, the Packers at the Giants, the Commanders at the Giants, the Vikings at the Giants, and the Cowboys again. But that one one of those is at home, one of those on the road. So, in other words, it's the exact opposite of the Kansas City Chiefs. The teams that they might be able to compete with, they're playing on the road. So they're at a disadvantage. The teams that they have no chance of beating, they are playing them at home, and they have no chance. I actually only have them winning maximum 2 games, because I think they could beat the Saints, and then there might be some fluky game like the Vikings they're playing at home. Maybe J.J. McCarthy has a bad game because he's a rookie. But I just don't see them beating either the Cowboys, the Chargers, the Eagles, the 49ers, the Packers, the Commanders, or the Vikings. I can't see that.
Who's their quarterback?
Russell Wilson.
That's right. Yeah. Big Apple, let's ride.
There we go. Dable, first coach to be fired.
Yeah.
So you guys
Minus
are.
That's what their number is. They're over under 5.5 wins.
Yeah.
I don't see any way they get over 5.5 wins.
You guys want a hot take? Here's your hot take of the day. Russell Wilson is playing himself out of the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Yeah. You ain't wrong.
No, because he was terrible in Denver. He was terrible in Pittsburgh. What makes anybody think he is not going to be terrible with the New York Giants, who, by the way, are ranked as the second worst team for offensive talent, despite the fact they've got one all-world receiver.
And Brian Dable, offensive-minded head coach, too.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, the Giants under 5.5 wins and the Kansas City Chiefs over 11.5 wins are both just dead solid, dead lead pipe locks to me. I don't see how either one of those doesn't happen.
I don't think anybody can argue with that. I mean, I'm sure somebody would, but I can't imagine how they would make that case for either one of those teams. You know, Kansas City, I think, is a lock, barring an injury to Mahomes, and barring an intervention from God, I don't see how the Giants get anywhere near 5.5. I would think the better total on them would be 2.5, 3.5.
They're under his juice, so under 5.5 is minus 150. So I mean, if you want to do some backwards math on that, it might be a 5, like 5 even, maybe minus 110 or plus 100.
Yeah, I either one of those. I can't see less than 11.5 for Kansas City. I don't see how the Giants get to 5 wins.
Hey, you fucking hoi polloi, get out of here.
Well, there you go.
Hey, is Joe Flacco on the Browns again? Where's Joe Flacco?
Yes. Joe Flacco is with the Browns again. So
the Browns, they have Dylan Gabriel, they have Shador, they have Joe Flacco, and they have Kenny Pickett, right?
Yeah.
What a clusterfuck that is.
Does anybody do any preseason betting on the NFL? Because I do. I love it.
Yeah, just take the under every single game. You'll probably hit like 55%.
Hold on to it.
The other thing is there are certain coaches in the NFL that hate to lose so much they play to win in preseason.
Yeah.
Hi.
John Harbaugh.
John Harbaugh is the king of preseason. Yes, absolutely. Jim Harbaugh also doesn't like to lose, period.
Hang on, boys. I got to drop off, but I'm going to show you the most beautiful sports complex in the world before I do.
All right, show us the most beautiful sports complex.
There we go. There's one. There's Arrowhead. There's where we're headed tonight.
There you go. Let's go on.
Happy birthday, Steen, and enjoy your game.
Thank you very much. You guys take care. Lou, you're doing a great job, man. Keeping it real, buddy.
Hey, have one of those Z-Mans.
Oh, by the way, I don't pick on the Chiefs because of you, Scott. I pick on the Chiefs because I hate them.
I know. Fair enough. You guys have a good one. Don't forget to check out Hit the Pick this Friday. We're back, baby. Me and Tom will be breaking down the race this weekend, so make sure you check out Hit the Pick, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time on this very same YouTube channel. You guys have a great night. I'll talk to you later.
All right, Scott. See ya.
Bye.
You know, okay, am I crazy or is the Chiefs' schedule weird the way that worked out?
It kind of feels like it's a little bit that way ever since Patrick Mahomes came into the league. They definitely show him some favoritism, I think. I will say, though, I mean, yeah, they probably do go over that season win total, but, I mean, Mahomes, last year he was not fantastic. He had a terrible Super Bowl. I get that the defensive, Philly's defense is just fantastic, so he just didn't have a good game. But, Kelsey's
there's some controversy around him. There's some controversy around him right now in Kansas City because he posted some pictures of him hanging by the pool, and a local radio host said he's an embarrassment. He's fat. He looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Yeah.
And it started this whole thing where people are going back and forth and now attacking this radio host for saying Patrick Mahomes is fat.
Yeah, Kelsey's no spring chicken either. Team's getting a little bit older. Andy Reid's still a fantastic head coach. But it's, yeah, like you said last year, it just seems like they were hanging on by a thread. They could have lost so many more games than they did. Those games did go their way, and I'll give them credit for pulling out these wins. You know, some teams just know how to win, even those close games, and Kansas City's proven they can do that. But sooner or later, they're playing with fire. I think that's going to catch them. But you know, that total 11.5, it's pretty sharp in my opinion. I can see it going over though. But yeah, Mahomes, he's always had that baby fat though. Kind of like, you know, Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, he definitely wasn't athletically fit. He was a pretty good quarterback.
It's not like Tom Brady was ever ripped.
Yeah, I mean, you remember the combine picture,
right?
But yeah, you know, there've been some. I remember Brett Favre. Even he was a little pudgy when he came in the league and everything. And but Mahomes, he just has that athletic gene. He's an old baseball player. His dad played baseball, and yeah, we'll see with the Chiefs, though. Sometimes it's just Chiefs overload. Like, they play every single Christmas. Aren't they playing on Christmas again this year?
Yes. It might be the Black Friday game, too.
And honestly, I don't really like the Christmas games, to be honest with you. I mean, if anybody could ever say there's too much football, it's like, I mean, they give us the NBA, because I love the NBA. I know Tom kind of likes the NBA. You handicap it. I don't know if you actually like it, because I don't think you watch the games. But I love the NBA on Christmas Day. And now they're going to, the NFL says, nope, we're taking over. And they come in, they put 3 games on Christmas Day. Even if it's on a Wednesday. I think it was on a Wednesday last year. They still put NFL football on Wednesday on Christmas Day.
Well, for those of us that can't stand the NBA, like me, we love having something to watch on Christmas, because, you know, you get the presents opened, and now my kids are older now, 18 and 16. And so, you know, there's not as much drama around, and kind of everybody just wants to, once we open the presents in the morning, everybody just wants to go do their own thing for the most part. So, you know, and it's not like we have a big family gathering or anything. So I'm going to spend the rest of the afternoon in my man cave office den. So having a couple TVs on with some good football, and there's some college on Christmas this year as well. So that's going to be fun stuff if you are a football fan. All right, guys, that's all I've got today. Anything else before we go?
There's a WNBA game tonight. I like the over on that between the Chicago Sky and the Dallas Wings. Chicago really doesn't play offense or defense at all, and I think both teams are going to run it here. So
Dallas,
I like
are those hot wings?
not with those girls.
I'm going to say.
I'll tell you what, you guys want to talk about some brutal 7-game stretch, or 7 days in a row. Maybe not 7. I think it's only 5. But next week we got the All-Star game, but no baseball Monday through Thursday, other than the Home Run Derby and the All-Star game. We literally have nothing to bet but WNBA and I guess tennis, if you really want to bet some tennis, and maybe there's some soccer going on. But it is the most brutal 4 days of the entire year for me every year. And I will be betting WNBA because, you know, you got to bet on something. That's what we do. But the CFL, I think, starts Thursday night too. But yeah, it's just a brutal stretch those 3 days.
Yeah, you got a Thursday night CFL game on CBS. Yeah. So you will have that at least. And then Friday and Saturday. But yeah, that 4-day stretch is just brutal. All right, this has been the Founders Show from hitthepick.com. I'm Loud Esmond. Thanks to the sniper, Scott, the Steamroller, also Tom Macrina, a.k.a. Rye Cape, and the missing David, no nickname, Delano. Thanks for being here, everybody. Until next time.
Peace out.